When the emergency lights flared across the interstellar hospital, no one expected the patient to be a 12-foot-tall alien prince cradling his belly and whispering, "I can feel it kicking," and no one, especially not Dr. Ray, was ready for what came next. This wasn't just any emergency. This alien thought he was pregnant with an entire planet. It started on a Tuesday. At least, it felt like a Tuesday, on Earth anyway. Dr. Ray Walters had just clocked into his shift at the intergalactic medical hub orbiting Tau Centauri, armed with his usual bitter coffee, stethoscope, and a deep desire to avoid anything weird. That wish was crushed within seconds. The emergency channel buzzed. A level 10 priority case. That meant royalty, diplomatic disaster, or a patient actively melting through the floor. Turned out, it was all free. Security droids wheeled in a massive gurney, upon which lay a creature that looked like someone had mashed a rhinoceros, an octopus, and a disco ball into one being. He groaned, clutching his stomach with two of his tentacles while another dabbed tears from his many, many eyes. The attending nursebot whispered nervously, "It's Prince Wildtrack Thuan of the Zelvarian Empire, and he claims he's pregnant." Dr. Ray blinked. "Pregnant? Okay. And how exactly does a Zelvarian reproduce?" The nursebot flinched. "That's the thing. They don't." Wildtrack Thuan groaned louder, his glowing skin pulsing green and purple. "There is life within me, Doctor, a great weight. I know it. I saw it in my dream visions. The planet, it speaks to me." Ray put down his coffee. "Right. We're gonna need a scanner, a translator, and probably a psychiatrist." The full-body bioscan began. The results came back, confusing. No fetal structures, no growths, no parasites. But there was a massive gravitational anomaly centered in the prince's abdominal cavity. It was faint, but it was there. Something was distorting local gravity. Something spherical. Dr. Ray frowned. "That's impossible. You're not pregnant, but you are somehow orbiting a micro-singularity inside your digestive tract." Wildtrack Thuan sat bolt upright. "I knew it. The soul of the planet grows inside me. I am the vessel." The situation escalated rapidly. Zelvarian religious leaders were called in. Half of them bowed in reverence to the planet father, while the others declared war on the heretical implications. Meanwhile, Prince Wildtrack Thuan demanded Dr. Ray become the high midwife of the celestial womb. Ray politely declined. Medical scans continued as Ray and his team scrambled to determine what was actually going on. The anomaly appeared to be a compressed neutronium seed, an alien artifact accidentally swallowed by the prince during a recent banquet on Cronach 7. It had nested itself in his third stomach, creating gravitational disturbances that mimicked gestation. So no, he wasn't pregnant, but he was harboring the early core of a potential planetoid. Ray attempted to explain. "You're not pregnant, Your Highness. You ate something at the buffet, and it's now causing gravitational." "I consumed the world's egg," the prince cried, tears flowing, "and it has chosen me as its cradle. I am blessed." Ray pinched the bridge of his nose. "Of course. You're glowing with divine indigestion." By now, Galactic media had caught wind of the situation. News outlets beamed out headlines like "Royal Womb of Stars" and "Human Doctor Declared Moon Doula." Reporters and floating drones swarmed the medical hub. One of them tried to interview the growing lump in the prince's belly. Meanwhile, Dr. Ray faced a problem. The neutronium seed was stable for now, but could go critical. If they didn't extract it, it could collapse into a singularity and suck half the hospital into itself. Politely telling a giant emotional alien prince that he needed emergency surgery was a diplomatic minefield. Ray approached the prince carefully, with the bedside manner of a man defusing a bomb. "Your radiance, the child planet within you, is strong, but it needs to be born in a controlled stellar nursery, one that can help it grow to full planetoid status." Wildtrack Thuan blinked his 6 eyes. "So, you would perform the birthing ritual?" "If by ritual you mean laparoscopic extraction under stasis field anesthesia, yes." The prince wept with joy. "Then let the birthing begin." The surgery was live-streamed to over 9 billion viewers across 6 systems. Dr. Ray, under pressure, and with 3 alien scrub nurses fainting mid-procedure, delicately removed the neutronium core. The hospital's astrophysics wing carefully transferred it to a gravitational containment sphere, where it began forming rings. Wild tracked through and watched the glowing sphere with fatherly pride. She shall be named Blorpa. Dr. Ray sipped his cold coffee and muttered, "Sure, Blorpa." The aftermath was a mix of awards, trauma therapy, and unexpected interstellar fame. Ray was declared the father of celestial medicine and gifted a moon, which he later traded for a quiet beach house on Io. As for Prince Wild Trackthuan, he continued to visit the Gravity Sphere nursery every week, whispering lullabies in galactic whale song. And sometimes, late at night, he'd still message Ray, "She kicked today. I know she did." Ray never replied, but he kept the message. Weeks passed, and though Dr. Ray tried to return to normal hospital life, Normal had taken a long vacation. Every time he entered the cafeteria, someone would bow. A Flanian nurse gifted him a mug that read "World's Greatest Wound Whisperer." Even the vending machines were programmed to call him Your Grace. He didn't know whether to laugh or scream. The Blorpa incident, as it had come to be called, had created a ripple effect across the galaxy. Alien species that had never interacted before were now arguing over what counted as true parenthood. A tribe of gaseous beings demanded birthing rights over gas giants. A rogue group of asteroid worshippers tried to adopt a comet. Ray was dragged into interviews, ethics panels, even a bizarre alien reality show titled, "So You Think You Can Give Birth to a Star?" He refused all of them. All he wanted was a quiet day of treating flu strains and removing embedded plasma shards, normal doctor stuff. But fate, once again, had other plans. One day, as he was examining a saurian merchant with an infected tail stub, a familiar voice echoed across the hallway. "Dr. Ray, I bring joyous tidings." Ray froze. He knew that voice. He'd hear it echoing in his nightmares. He peeked around the corner, and sure enough, Prince Wild Trackthuan was back, larger than ever, beaming with pride, flanked by a retinue of Royal Guard drones and carrying a stroller? Oh no! Ray stepped into the hallway, raising a hand cautiously. "Your Radiance. I wasn't expecting to see you again so soon." Wild Trackthuan let out a booming laugh. "Blorpa has begun to orbit." He gestured to the hovering bassinet-like structure beside him. Inside was a small, swirling mass of glowing mineral surrounded by a microgravity field. It hummed gently, casting rainbow light across the corridor. "She orbits around me. Her gravitational resonance aligns with my heartbeat." Ray blinked. "You're using your daughter as a moon." "Indeed," the prince beamed. "She completes me. Literally." Ray tried to think of something diplomatic to say. "That's beautiful and slightly terrifying." Wild Trackthuan leaned in, whispering, "I came to ask, would you be her godfather?" Before Ray could respond, a pop-up on his holopad interrupted. "Urgent. Patient in Trauma Bay 3. Possible space parasite implanted via spores in brain." Ray's eyes lit up. Finally, something normal. He gave a quick bow. "Your Radiance, it would be my honor. But Blorpa will need more than me. She'll need balance, orbit stabilizers, gravitational anchors." Wild Trackthuan chuckled. "I have already enrolled her in the Nebula Academy for Stellar Bodies." Ray raised an eyebrow. "She's enrolled in preschool." "Intergalactic Gifted Program." Of course. As the prince turned to leave, humming a lullaby that made nearby electronics flicker, Ray ducked into Trauma Bay 3. A Slurkian patient was flailing, vomiting spores, and attempting to bite the walls. Ray smiled. Home sweet home. But just as he reached for his gloves, another alert flashed across the hospital's emergency board. "Incoming. Multiple patients. Symptoms. Planetary swelling, unexplained gravitation, delusions of cosmic parenthood. Origin, royal banquet on Cronux 7. Cause, ingested starfruit." Ray's coffee dropped. Oh no, not again. Somewhere, deep in the cosmos, another alien was likely clutching their stomach, whispering, "I feel it kicking." And Ray? He sighed, rolled up his sleeves, and prepared for the next galactic delivery. Because once you help deliver a planet, the universe never lets you quit. By the end of the week, the Blorpa phenomenon had officially evolved into something far worse, a trend. Across galaxies, species were intentionally ingesting exotic matter, dark energy seeds, and in one particularly concerning case, a rogue moon core, just to simulate the experience of planetary pregnancy. They called it planet fathering. Some saw it as a path to spiritual enlightenment. Others saw a chance to boost social media followers. But to Dr. Ray, it was just another way the universe conspired to drive him slowly insane. The hospital had to open a planetary obstetrics division. Ray was made the chief of celestial delivery. He didn't ask for the promotion. The title came with an embroidered coat that said Primordial Womb Technician. He threw it into the black hole waste chute immediately. On his rounds, Ray encountered the new patients. A K-Thon warrior with 4 stomachs was convinced she was carrying twin gas giants. A robotic intelligence claimed it digitally absorbed the dwarf star and now suffered from emotional flaring. One sentient crystal thought it was becoming a moon and kept rolling around the holes humming lullabies. One patient, an 800-pound insectoid named Click-Clack, burst into tears during his consultation. I swallowed a small black rock at the banquet, he sobbed. It started glowing. I named it Carl. Carl talks to me sometimes. He says it's cold. Is that normal, Doctor? Ray stared at him, then at the glowing Carl embedded in the X-ray image. With a long sigh, Ray leaned back and said, "At this point, yes, that's completely normal." Things escalated again when a cult formed around Blorpa. Yes, a cult. They called themselves the Orbiters of Sacred Blorpa. They believed Blorpa was a reincarnation of an ancient planetary deity and that Ray was a divine herald. Worshippers would line up outside the hospital with offerings, glowing stones, solar panels, star-shaped cakes, all chanting, "All hail the planet-born." Security bots were overwhelmed. A group of them tried to sneak into the containment nursery just to touch her gravitational aura. One melted. Another ascended into what it called radiant oneness with the planetary soul. Ray had to issue a formal hospital-wide announcement. Please do not lick, hug, pray to, or attempt to commune with the planet core. Thank you. Still, the madness spread. A famous pop star released a single called You Put the Moon in Me, featuring an animated version of Dr. Ray dancing with baby planets. It went triple platinum in 7 systems. He hadn't even signed a likeness release. Eventually, the Galactic Medical Council summoned Ray for an ethics hearing. The holographic panel was made up of 11 beings, 3 of which had no physical form. One was a sentient puddle. They demanded to know why Ray hadn't immediately neutralized the gravitational anomaly inside the prince, why he'd allowed the cult of Blorpa to emerge, why there was now a commemorative children's book titled My Dad Gave Birth to a Planet, and So Can You. Ray stood there, exhausted, covered in glitter from a fan ambush, holding a bag of emergency antigrav suppressants. He cleared his throat. Because if I hadn't done what I did, the prince might have imploded, the neutronium seed could have collapsed into a singularity, and the galaxy would be missing a hospital. Instead, we have a new stable microplanet, 3 peaceful interstellar treaties, and, somehow, a theme park. Silence. Then the puddle nodded. Very well. You're promoted. What? Ray blinked. You are now Director of Interstellar Reproductive Phenomena. I know. But it was too late. His new ID badge materialized midday and slapped itself on his chest. Later that night, Ray sat in his dim office, sipping tea made from something vaguely legal. He stared at a hologram of Blorpa, peacefully rotating inside her containment sphere. Around her, tiny space pods floated, future moons, asteroids, or confused cultists trying to reach orbit. Behind him, his assistant, an enthusiastic jellyfish named MRBL, floated in with a datapad. Doctor, new case report. Triple-headed telepath thinks is pregnant with a black hole. Shall I pencil you in? Ray didn't even flinch. He sipped his tea, nodded slowly, and muttered, "Tell him to lie down and breathe." Ray had officially entered the cosmic weirdness burnout phase of his career. At night, he dreamed of normal things, appendectomies, flu shots, the comforting beep of a human heart monitor. But in reality, His days were filled with screaming meteorite embryos, alien maternity songs that triggered hospital-wide electrical surges, and the occasional visit from fanatics who believed he could bless their asteroid clusters. And just when he thought it couldn't get any stranger, it did. One morning, MRBL, his jellyfish assistant, floated into his office with what looked like a giant, shimmering egg. "Doctor," MRBL bubbled, "this came for you." Marked as urgent delivery. From the Zelverian Royal Nursery. Ray stared at the glowing orb. "Please tell me that's not what I think it is." MRBL made a concerned pulse. "It talks when you touch it." Cautiously, Ray reached out and tapped the egg. It immediately projected a hologram of Prince Wild Tractuan, weeping joyfully and waving all 12 arms. "Dr. Ray, you are grandfather." Ray's tea sprayed out of his nose. "What?" The hologram continued, blissfully unaware of Ray's existential crisis. "Our blessed daughter Blorpa has entered a second growth phase, and she has birthed a moon, a beautiful, cratered baby boy." Ray nearly fainted. "Planets don't give birth." "Apparently they do," Amabel offered, helpfully, "in rare cases of accelerated matter accretion within stable microgravity environments. It's asexual georeproduction." Ray turned, horrified. "How do you even know that?" MRBL blinked. "I read Planet Parenting for Dummies last night." Suddenly, Ray was pulled into a family reunion. The Galactic Council insisted he attend a naming ceremony for the moon. The event was broadcast live to over 17 billion viewers, complete with musical performances, holographic fireworks, and an uncomfortable duet between Wild Tractuan and a black hole-themed opera singer named Madame Gravina. Ray sat stiffly in his ceremonial robes, forced to bless the baby moon, named Gloop. That's right, Gloop. After the ceremony, Ray tried to sneak away, but was intercepted by a trio of scientists from the Cosmic Genesis Research Institute. They pitched him on a new project, simulating planetary pregnancies in artificial gravity chambers for interstellar colonization. Ray refused, so they offered him a research grant. He still refused. Then they offered him a pizza-shaped moon. He considered it. Back at the hospital, things had taken a darker turn. An unregulated group of aliens calling themselves the Starbreathers were ingesting unstable stellar materials to experience what they called the sacred contraction. It was dangerous, messy, and on at least one occasion, exploded a bathroom. Ray was now working triple shifts trying to keep these patients alive. He barely slept. He lived on caffeine patches and sarcasm. One day, while stitching a radioactive being's stomach back together with antimatter thread, of course, MRBL floated in urgently. "Doctor, we have a new problem." Ray didn't even look up. "Another fake pregnancy." "No," MRBL whispered. "A real one." Ray froze. He turned slowly. "Define real." "A newly discovered alien species. Carbon-based. Binary heart system. They just send us scans. One of them is carrying what appears to be a living planetary organism. Naturally conceived." Ray stood silent for a long moment. Then he picked up his coffee mug, drank, put it down. "All right," he muttered, grabbing his gloves. "Let's go meet the universe's first actual space baby." The new patient was brought into Isolation Ward 7. She was a tall, spindly alien from a jungle moon near the Andromeda Spill. Her skin shimmered like oil on water, and her voice translated as a musical scale. She wasn't panicking. She was glowing, literally, and humming lullabies. Inside her was no neutronium seed, no artifact, no hallucinogenic fruit. It was real, a pulsating orb of geoorganic matter, developing orbiting nanodust, and early signs of tectonic shifting. Dr. Ray stayed at the scan. For the first time in weeks, he didn't speak. "This changes everything," he whispered. "No cults," MRBL warned gently. Ray nodded. "No press. No naming ceremonies." "Definitely not." MRBL paused. "What if she's the next step in cosmic life?" Ray looked at the mother, peaceful, proud, calm in her gravity-padded bed. Then he smiled for the first time in days. "Then I guess we're not doctors anymore, MRBL." MRBL tilted his head. What are we, then? Ray adjusted his stethoscope and replied, Midwives of the stars. For the first time in his entire career, possibly in the entire medical history of sentient life, Dr. Ray was afraid not of failure, but of success. What if this worked? What if this mother, this being who radiated calm and strength and cosmic lullabies, truly did birth a living world? It would mean rewriting every biological textbook. It would mean religious chaos across 24 systems. It would mean hope and fear at a universal scale. And the responsibility of it all would fall on one very tired human. Ray stayed by the alien mother's side for the next 72 hours straight, monitoring every fluctuation in mass density, energy output, core temperature, and atmospheric forming within the womb. She communicated through music. Delicate tones vibrated the air and made the surgical light sway like reeds in wind. Ray couldn't understand her language, but he understood her intent. She wasn't afraid. She believed in what was growing inside her. On the fourth night, something happened. The hospital's artificial gravity began to shift, only slightly, but enough to cause instruments to tilt, liquids to curve strangely in their containers, and several in turn to gently float upwards mid-step. The gravitational core of the protoplanet was stabilizing. It's aligning with our local field, MRBL whispered, peeking at the monitors. Doctor, it's forming tides. Inside her. She's sinking with it, Ray murmured, like a heartbeat. Then the contractions began, not the biological kind. They were geological. Deep inside her body, tectonic pulses echoed outward, like earthquakes made of song and starfire. Her skin glowed brighter, the room filled with harmonic resonance. It was time. Ray called for silence. No machines. No talking. Just listening. They couldn't use normal instruments. So he guided her through it manually, like a conductor guiding a symphony through a celestial crescendo. Every contraction was a ripple through space-time. Every breath she took pulled light into her. And finally, with a pulse that dimmed every light in the hospital for exactly 1.2 seconds, the planet was born. It floated gently in a protective gravity field, rotating slowly, its embryonic atmosphere swirling in soft hues of gold and violet. The delivery room fell silent, until a gasp came from one of the nurses. It's alive, they whispered. The planet is thinking. Sensors confirmed it. Conscious electrochemical activity. A kind of proto-awareness. It was aware of itself, and of its mother, and it hummed. A faint tone. A lullaby, echoing back the very note she had sung to it for months. Ray had to sit down. For all the madness, all the chaos, all the cults and royalty and glittery awards he never wanted. This was real. Life. On a planetary scale. Not chaos. Not fiction. Just wonder. Hours later, as a newborn planet rested in a containment orb and its mother recovered peacefully nearby, the Galactic Council held an emergency broadcast session. News outlets from every system flooded the feed. And Dr. Ray Walters, a tired, sarcastic, coffee-loving human doctor, was once again called to speak before the universe. He stepped up to the holopodium, cleared his throat, and said, very simply, life finds a way, even if that way involves birth canals made of stardust and gravity, and a delivery that requires singing tectonic shifts into alignment. My patient didn't need magic. She didn't need belief. She needed respect, and room to grow, just like every form of life. Thank you. The transmission went viral in less than 4 minutes. Months passed. The baby planet was named Luma, meaning hope in 6 major languages. She was placed in a protected orbit near the Cosmic Nursery Research Zone, where she could grow under observation and care. Ray visited once a month. He never brought cameras, never spoke publicly about her. He would just sit, floating in the observation chamber, and watch her spin slowly in space, clouds swirling gently across a forming surface, glowing softly. She didn't speak, but she always hummed, just faintly, when he was near. One day, as he was leaving the chamber, Amabel hovered beside him and said, "You become something else, Doctor." Ray gave him a tired smile. "A myth. A father to worlds." Ray laughed. "I was just trying to remove an alien's lunch from his stomach." MRBL paused. Sometimes the universe just needs a little indigestion to be reborn. They floated down the hallway in silence. Behind them, Luma glowed brighter. And somewhere, far across the stars, Blorpa spun in pride. And so did her moon, Gloop, because this was no longer just medicine. This was no longer just humanity. This was evolution, in orbit,